Okay, guys. All right. I'm calling the Virginia Associated Counties business meeting dated November 11th into order. I should have probably did this little homework before I got started here this morning to see who's online, who's not. And I do believe that some people's prayers go a little higher than others. So instead of me giving the invocation, I'm hoping either William McCarty of Isle of Wight, is he available today? All right, I'm gonna, if I don't see anything from William, I'm gonna lean on Judy Little. Is she there? Judy, can you unmute yourself so God can hear you?
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Good morning.
Good morning. It would be a great honor if you would do our invocations, Judy.
Thank you, Steve. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we give you all the glory, all the praise. Lord, we invite you into our business meeting this morning. We ask that you would govern us, watch over us, and send us in the right direction. We give you all the glory and all the praise.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
All right. So now, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America,
to the republic
from
which
it stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you again, everyone. And if you would, go try to mute yourself, and we'll unmute when I call on you. We'll follow on the agenda. We're hoping we can get that on the screen here shortly, so you can kind of thank you, Katie. I know y'all were working on that, so we can follow along on the agenda. The credentials report and the declaration of quorum. The executive committee stood in for the credentials report this year, and we've been, it's been a tough time for everybody. And so I'm asking Vicki, could you read the credentials report?
Vicki, you'll need to unmute.
I'm not good at this. Mr. President, I'm pleased to report that 94 counties have paid their dues and are eligible to vote this year. 53 counties have properly credentialed to cast a total of 117 votes out of a possible 175 votes in today's meeting. Respectfully submitted, Vicki Steiner.
Okay, so we do have a quorum.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vic. Following along on the agenda again, we have the presentation and vote on bylaw amendments. Phyllis, if you're available, can you?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like all of your counties, our bylaws did not anticipate this type of an emergency situation and ongoing pandemic. And because of that, the board of directors is recommending 4 bylaw changes so that we can continue our continuity of service just like all of you in your counties. These bylaw changes were posted for over 45 days pursuant to the VACO bylaws, and they are as follows. The first change is in Article 5, and the change to Article 5 provides that when there are an emergency condition and an agreement has been made that the county can pay their dues by the end of the fiscal year, they will remain a member in good standing. The second change is in Article 6, and it provides that the annual business meeting may be held electronically. The third change is in Article 9, and it provides that meetings of the board of directors may be held by electronic means and votes may be taken. And the last change is in terms of emergency amendments to the bylaws, and it gives the authority to the board of directors only during emergency time to make changes to the VACO bylaws. And Mr. President, that concludes the recommendations of the board of directors for bylaw changes. So we will need a motion to accept the bylaw changes and to ratify the board of directors' actions during the pandemic.
Thank you, Phyllis. Okay, so you've heard the amendments. Before we got a question.
Oh, you got a motion.
All right, I have a motion on the floor by Billy Kiger.
By William.
William McCarty. I'm sorry. William is here. Thank you. Thank you, William. And I have a motion by William and a second by Billy. Any further discussion? Anybody want to unmute and have a comment? Okay, so listen to me very carefully. All not in favor signify by saying nay or putting it in the chat box. I'm sorry. All right. Seeing none right now, we'll give that a second. Seeing none or hearing none, we'll move on. So the motion has been approved. Thank you, Phyllis, for that report. I appreciate it. All right, going on to the item 5. It's the minutes of November 12th, 2019 business meeting. I will have to get these approved as well. I'm entertaining a motion for approval.
This is Sharon. I'll moved.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
Second.
From Ann Malik.
All right, so we got a motion and a second by Ann Malik. Any further discussion? Anything on the chat box you want to say? Okay. Hearing none or seeing none, all not in favor signify by putting in the chat box nay. Okay. And I should have brought that to everybody's attention before we got started. It really helps with the not having so much feedback and loud noises and that type of thing.
I see no nays.
No nays. Okay. Okay. Well, the item 6 is where I get to do the talking and you guys do the listening. I like that. But anyway, it is good to see so many familiar faces out there, even on the screen. And I want to thank you for trusting me with the leadership of VACO this year. The organization means a lot to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to represent you. The world has changed so much since we were all together a year ago at this time. I remember thinking back in February that my biggest challenge as president would be holding the annual conference at Norfolk instead of the homestead, but that definitely had changed. We have all been through an incredibly difficult year navigating a public health crisis and a serious economic shock. There's no area of the Commonwealth that has been untouched by the pandemic and its economic repercussions. But we have also seen the resilience and the resourcefulness of local governments across the Commonwealth. All over the state, counties have stepped up to ensure that the public services that our communities rely on continue to be provided safely. Counties are coming up with creative ways to support our local economies and stay connected with all our communities. And just as you would expect in this difficult time, counties are working together, sharing ideas and supporting their neighbors. I always describe VACO as family, and I'm proud to report that our VACO family has pulled together to weather this storm. Like our member counties, VACO is a resourceful organization. You know, I mentioned a little while ago that we had a lot of time, this inside time, and this summer with this pandemic, I spent a lot of time in the swimming pool and watching movies. So anyway, my granddaughter is living with us, and I stayed in the pool enough where I think my hair went from gray to blonde, and that wasn't on purpose. But one of the movies I watched, and I brought this to our attention because it made me think of it's a Clint Eastwood movie in 1986, and it's called Heartbreak Ridge, which is really appropriate for Veterans Day. And in that movie, Clint Eastwood, who played the character Gunny, is trying to make a team. And one of the things, the famous words in that is, he said, you need to improvise, you need to adapt, and you need to overcome. And I will say this, VACO, under Dean's leadership, they learned to to improvise, to adapt, and to overcome. And I'm very proud to represent this staff up here in Richmond, Virginia, and all throughout the Commonwealth. Even though we had really missed gathering in person, VACO pivoted quickly to engaging with members online. We made the most of the virtual format to enhance our educational offerings. We kept in regular contact with the administration to assure the county's perspective is heard as the state makes decisions that affect local government. Even before the pandemic, VACO had already adjusted to working in a very different political landscape. I'm proud to report that we made historic progress this year toward providing counties more authority to raise necessary revenues from diverse sources, tools that will be important to our future economic stability. We also adapted to advocacy and socially distanced world with assistance in communicating with our legislators. We successfully protected the interests of local governments during an unprecedented online special session. I know the good work of VACO will continue under the leadership of Jeff McKay. Jeff is committed to public servant and will be strong voice to all counties. And I say that with all the heart. So Jeff and I are opposite people, guys. He's good looking, he's smart, and he's debonair. I don't even know why I like the guy, but I'll tell you what I really do, why I do like him. I've been in many meetings with Jeff, and I know sometimes rural counties feel like we may not be getting a voice, but every time in every meeting I've been with Jeff, when he talks about legislation, he always, listen to me, he always asks, how does this affect rural counties across Virginia? And that's the kind of leader that we need in VACO. Jeff, I know VACO will be in good hands. I know your VACO family will be there for you as much as they've been there for me. All right, I'm getting teary-eyed. I don't like saying goodbye. In closing, I want to thank all of you for your support and everything you do in the communities. I want to offer special thanks to the executive committee and the board. And also I want to thank my fellow board members, my county administrator in Nottaway County, and all the Nottaway County staff. And especially, last but not least, I want to thank my family who, during this time, I think we all had ups and we had lows, and a lot of lows. And I'm very fortunate that I had a wife that was very strong, and she would sometimes say to me, "Put on your big boy britches, people need you." And that support I really appreciate. Thank you, VACO, and it's been an honor. It's been an honor to serve you, and I love you all beyond measure. Thank you. All right, let me wipe my eyes now, get straight. All right, let's keep on going to the business meeting. Financial report, we have Aaron Hawkins, Robinson, Farmer, and Cox. Aaron, get us straight, get financially why I get my motion straight.
Can everyone hear me? Or someone? Maybe give me a thumbs up or a quick unmute to say you can hear me.
We got you.
I can hear you.
Good.
Yes.
Cool. Well,
Yes.
I'm hoping this thing doesn't start squealing at me. But so I don't know if everyone here has a PDF or a hard copy of our financial reports that we issued. If you do have a PDF, it'd be a good time to open them up and take a look. We did the audits for VACO and VACO services, and Vicki was, despite the unusual circumstances this year, still able to get everything pulled together for us. From a coordinating the audit standpoint, I feel like we tried to do a little bit more remotely before we got there this year, but otherwise we were still able to come on site. We have a very small audit team, just 3 of us, and drove separate. We're able to mask up, when coming into the building and things like that to work on the things that we needed to, and still try to distance ourselves from folks. And I still thought the audit process went well despite all those things. So what I'm going to do now is I've kind of just babbled along for a minute or two to give you a chance to open up those PDFs if you've got them. So I'm going to start off and be very brief, honestly, in going over these things. We've got 2 financial reports that we issued, one for VACO and then one for your VACO services that you have set up. And so for Abaco, and for both entities, we've given unmodified opinions on the financial statements, which means that based on the test work that we've done, we feel that these financial statements are free of any error or misstatement or material misstatement. And both financial statements are issued on a comparative basis so that you can see your current year financial information compared to your prior year. And it's a good thing for you all to, a good tool to really tell and see how did we perform this year versus last year in various areas. And when you look at Baco's and you look at your statement of financial position, which is on page 3, you'll see that things were pretty darn consistent. I mean, your assets went from $8,513,000 to about $8,515,000, so stayed pretty level. Your liabilities went down as you made principal payments on your bank loans. But other than that, it was pretty level from a balance sheet standpoint. Then you had your statement of activities, which is on pages 4 and 5. If you're looking at a PDF, it's actually PDF pages 8 and 9. Again, not too much really jumps out at you from a comparative standpoint from comparing this year to last year. The biggest thing I can point out is your gains losses on your securities or investments that you have, and you'll see that number on page 5, which is PDF page 9. And again, this is on the Baco report. Your gains losses on your investments last year in 2019, you had gains of $177,212, and this year we had losses on investments, or I should say net losses of $77,675. And I think the main driving force behind the negative amount this year was on your Davenport account that you have. I felt like that thing experienced some negative changes in values during the year, which is why you got that net negative number. Just kind of moving along, Baco Services, there was really nothing that jumped out at me that, comparing this year to last year. We also filed your tax return for Baco Services, and there was no taxable income for the year. So that means there was no tax payments made during the year for Baco Services. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to report. Like I said, I think the audit process went smoothly. And one thing I will say, it's kind of an unconventional, and even when I present in front of everyone, it's not necessarily conventional for me to really ask a lot of questions. And but I do want to encourage you, as you look through these things, if you have a question, if there's something that doesn't make sense to you, please feel free to reach out. And I mean, I'll by all means ask a question right now if you've got it. But if you ever have a question about anything, Vicki, Dean can put you in touch with me. I'm here for you. So it's, when we leave our field work and issue a report, it doesn't really stop there. It's, we're always here for you to answer any questions that you have. And with that, I will close my remarks on everything and then open it up for any questions right now.
We have a motion on the floor.
All right, I don't see any questions. We have a motion.
We have a motion from Don Hart.
Don Hart. Don, thank you.
Finance Committee.
Don Hart, the chairman of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that motion. Entertain a second. Anderson, a second. All right. Any further? And by the way, I should have said this. Thank you, Aaron, for that report. I really do appreciate it. Very thorough. Thank you. All right. So we got a motion. We got a second. All not in favor signify by saying nay in the chat box. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Don, by the way. All right. The General Counsel's report. Phyllis, are you still with us?
I am. I'm here for the duration, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This year, I've continued to focus on acting as a resource on legal issues to our executive director, our executive committee, our board of directors, as well as the association staff, and especially our member counties, through their elected officials, administrators, and attorneys. I work closely with county attorneys, and I'm an active member of the Local Government Attorneys of Virginia, where I participate on several of their subcommittees. I was invited as a representative of VACO to be a featured speaker at their virtual spring conference this past spring, speaking about legislative matters affecting localities. In addition, our representation on the Local Government Attorneys Special COVID-19 Committee not only helped us get thorough and timely advice to our member counties, but also resulted in a special LGA service award this year for our work on COVID-19 issues. We have participated in 2 amicus cases this year, or friend of the court cases. The first dealt with the rezoning and police powers of localities, and the second with issues involving machinery and tools tax. In the area of publications and resources, we continue to offer several publications as a resource to localities, including the board meeting procedure booklet, which is updated to the 2020 changes in law and is a helpful resource for running a meeting. We also continue to offer the 8th edition of the County Supervisor's Manual, which is a comprehensive resource for elected officials and staff alike. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Phyllis. And I knew you were going to be with us for the duration, but you know how sometimes the computers act up. But thank you so much for your report. Appreciate it. All right, let's moving on the agenda. The Executive Director's report. Dean Lynch here is beside me.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's really been a privilege and an honor to be your executive director again for this year. I really enjoyed this year. Is a crazy year in 2020. But let me quickly start off by saying that 2020, when we started this year, we started out with a great legislative success. This year, we got past our top legislative priority, which was equal taxing authority to counties. So now counties have the authority to levy and collect a cigarette tax, a meals tax, an admissions tax, and a transient occupancy tax. We have been trying to do this advocacy for many years, but this year we finally paid off and we got that authority. And then all of a sudden, we thought we were going to big guns this year, right after the session. Then all of a sudden, halt! Can't do anything. Then we moved into a really weird time, a really strange year with the pandemic. But the VACO focus continued to be on service through advocacy and education. VACO staff began working from home, and we worked from home from March through June, still continuing to focus on the mission of VACO, which is advocacy and education. I think this year those of you who have been involved with our association in numerous meetings have found that we have met many, many times with the governor and his administration over the months. We actually provided letters, went back to an old school concept of letter writing. And so we actually did advocacy through letter writing to the General Assembly members, to the leadership, and to the governor on many, many issues. We testified verbally and virtually through the special session, which just ended day before yesterday. We did 9 regional meetings this year that focused on advocacy and education. And I got to say, these regional meetings, the attendance for these meetings were at an all-time high. I have never seen so many General Assembly members actually participating. So it was different in that we had to learn as staff new platforms to educate people, new platforms to lobby and to advocate for Virginia counties. We successfully navigated WebEx, which you're on now. We have participated in Microsoft Teams. We've done Zooms. We do text. We've done just all kinds of different platforms to get our message out and to advocate and to lobby to the General Assembly. A little bit about this current conference. This current conference, while we would love to be in person, there is no substitute for being in person and being able to talk and to share. We are virtual. This year, we had our conference had over 300 plus registered attendees, and all the sessions yesterday and the day before, every session had 100 plus in attendance. And I got to say, even when we're at the homestead or doing our annual conference, we rarely have 100 in a breakout session. So it's great to have the support of our members on our issues and really helping us to advocate and learn about the issues that are most important to county governments. We look forward to moving out of this pandemic in 2021. We will continue to have a virtual meeting. Our legislative conference will be virtual. We're going to have to do that, but then we'll be trying to focus after that meeting. We'll be trying to focus on in-person meetings along with having a hybrid. So we'll be doing some live streaming of the meetings, and we'll find a way to reach those that are still too afraid to meet in person or those that are still at risk. So we look forward to 2021, and we really look forward to finishing up 2020. Mr. President, that's the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you for your hard work. It has been a very strange year. I think I can get a lot of amens out there for that one. So, please keep up the good work and continue being our Executive Director and our leader. All right, moving on the agenda, the committee's report. Jeff McKay, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Steve. And this is a report of VACO's Resolutions Committee. We met on Monday, November 9th at 2020 to discuss resolutions and, most importantly, our legislative package. And we had a lively, good discussion with a lot of input, but at the end of the day, very, very minor changes to our legislative package. And so I'm going to highlight those very quickly and ask if anyone has any questions, and certainly the good VACO staff who worked on each of these areas can certainly provide answers to any questions that people have. The first was the Committee on Economic Development and Planning, and if you're looking at our legislative package, you'll see that's on pages 2 through 3, and that is unchanged from the 2021 draft legislative program, so no changes in that area at all. Number 2 was the Committee on Education, and there's a couple changes there. First, on page 5, line 205, we inserted a new position that I'll read as follows. School consolidation and regionalism is the heading of it. VACO supports additional state resources and incentives to allow counties to voluntarily consolidate or regionalize K through 12 services to increase operational efficiencies. There were 2 other changes, one on page 5, line 213, which was to strike, quote, hire additional resource officers, school protection officers, and other security and mental health personnel and measures, end quote, and replace that with broader language that reads, quote, make investments in security and health, end quote. And then lastly, in this section on page 5, line 215, strike, quote, allow for the placement of resource officer and protection officers in schools, end quote, and replace it with, quote, to implement appropriate security measures, end quote. And again, that was to broaden the language and make it more inclusive. Next section was section number 3, the Energy Subcommittee. I'm on page 7 and line 383. One minor change was really kind of a typo, and that's to insert the word gas after natural. And then number 4 was the Committee on Environment and Agriculture, pages 8 through 11. Page 10, line 454. after quote, such as, insert quote, Virginia Soil and Water Conservation Districts, SWCDs, end quote. Item number 5, Committee on Finance, page 12 through 13, page 12, line 510, after the word supports, insert the word preserving. And item number 6 was Committee on General Government, pages 14 through 15. Page 14, line 616, insert new sentence at the end of the paragraph that reads as follows, quote, VACO opposes changes to state mandated funding formulas that decrease state funding and require increased local funding, end quote. Page 14, lines 624 to 625, strike, decrease the cost of elections to localities. These costs include, end quote, and replace it with the following language, quote, increase state investments in elections. This includes funding and support for, and then that line continues after that. And then on page 15, line 677, delete, quote, defense, and insert, quote, defenses of qualified immunity and, end quote. And 2 other sections that were completely unchanged from the 2021 draft legislative program, and that is item 7, Committee on Health and Human Services, which you can find pages 16 through 19, no changes, and number 8, Committee on Transportation, pages 20 through 22, again, completely unchanged from the last draft legislative program. And so those were the changes of the Resolutions Committee for the adoption of the 2021 legislative program, and probably a good time to ask if anyone has any questions or comments on any of those changes. These changes were supported and adopted by the Resolutions Committee and sent to us today for action. So before I make a motion, let me just check and make sure that nobody has any questions on any of those.
Jeff,
And
I don't see any questions in the chat either.
Okay, and I'm not hearing any, so let me move adoption of the legislative program, VACO legislative program.
Okay, I have a motion. Thank you. And by the way, thank you, Jeff, for you and all the committee members for all your hard work on this, and I appreciate it. So we have a motion on the floor by Jeff McKay to adopt the 2021 legislative program, and I got a second by Ann Malik, right? Since no further discussion with Jeff, all not in favor signify by saying nay on the chat box, and we will definitely make sure your opinion is recorded. Okay.
Just a minute.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I see no nays.
Okay, no nays. All right. Thank you again, Jeff. Nominating committee report. Penny Groves.
Yes, thank you, and good morning.
Good morning, Penny. Good morning.
The nominating committee met yesterday afternoon. We had a quorum. I believe we had 11 of the 13 members in attendance virtually, and we fulfilled our obligations, and I will outline what we did. We agreed on presenting a slate of nominees for what I call the executive team. Interestingly, there were no contested nominations this year. That is a little different from some previous years. Our nominations include for President, Jeff McKay, Fairfax County. President-elect, Meg Bomke, Stafford County. First Vice President, Jason Bellows of Lancaster County. Those are people who are already on the executive team and will be moving up in those ranks. For second vice president, we had one applicant, and she was nominated by the committee. That's Ann Malik from Albemarle County. For secretary treasurer, Don Hart of Accomack County, and of course for immediate past president, Steve Bowen from Nottoway County steps into that role. We also reviewed the reports from the regional caucuses on the board of directors. And we present the following list for ratification. From Region 1, and I will remind the members of VACO that not all the regions had slots open for nomination or renomination of board of directors. Those come up every 2 years on a rotating basis. For Region 1, William McCarty, Isle of Wight. Region 3, Frank Thornton, Henrico County. Region 5, Mike Sheridan, Fluvanna County. Region 6, Terry Catlett from Clark County. Region 7, Jim Crozier from Orange County. Region 8, Penny Gross, Fairfax County. Region 8, Dan Stork, Fairfax County. Region 8, Margaret Angela Franklin, Prince William County. Region 8, Phyllis Randall, Loudoun County. Region 8, Libby Garvey, Arlington County. Region 11, Billy Martin of Botetourt County. Region 12, Adam Kidd, Bland County. Past presidents, and these are the folks who will rotate off after a 3-year period. So they will be rotating off over the next couple of years. Judy Little from Surrey County, Mary Biggs from Montgomery County, and Sharon Alsop from King and Queen County. Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, I move approval of the nominating committee report and move that the slate of officers be elected by acclamation and that the regional directors be ratified. That concludes my report.
Second by Billy Martin.
Okay, thank you, Penny. I thank you for your hard work. And that's I've been the chairman of that committee. It's not the most popular there. So job well done, and we thank you for your hard work. So I have a motion on the floor by Penny Gross, and I got a second by Billy Kiger of Rockingham County. If all not in favor, signify by saying nay on the chat box, and we will document as such.
No negative votes. No
Okay,
nays.
so the election of officers have been approved. Thank you again, Penny. All right, now that we've been elected, now we need to have an oath. So installation of oath of officers and directors. And Phyllis, you probably have to tell us how to. I guess we'll stay on mute, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. If each of the new officers and directors will raise their right hand and repeat after me, even if you're muted, you can just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States, the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the bylaws of the Virginia Association of Counties, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties incumbent upon me as an officer or director of the Virginia Association of Counties according to the best of my ability, so help me God. I want to say congratulations to the new members, the new officers, and the entire leadership of the Virginia Association of Counties.
Okay, thank you. We got other business.
Now you turn it over to.
Okay, so since there's no other business, let's give our new president, Jeff McKay, a big, warm, virtual welcome. So, Jeff, congratulations. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve, and I'm honored to serve as the next president of the Virginia Association of Counties. And throughout my many years with VACO, I've always considered us to be a large, close-knit family. I treasure the many relationships I built with my colleagues throughout Virginia, and VACO is a great way to bring us together to always advance our communities. I want to start off by thanking my personal family, my wife, Crystal, my two school-age kids who are right upstairs doing their virtual learning today, and certainly want to thank my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors that serve with me in Fairfax County, Supervisor Gross from the Mason District, who also has had the honor in the past of serving as VACO president, and also members Kathy Smith, James Walkinshaw, Dan Stork, and Rodney Lusk, who all serve on the VACO board as well. And certainly thank VACO staff for all that they do. I do want to offer a special word of thanks to my friend Steve Bowen. He was certainly handed a different set of cards this year and played them really well. Steve, I know I speak for the entire VACO membership when I say you were the right person at the right time to lead this association during an incredibly challenging year. And I will say that one day, I hope we all take you up on your invitation to go fishing in Nottoway County. I certainly know that that I'm going to be doing that, and look forward to that opportunity. And frankly, Steve, we've always loved your sense of humor, but in particular, I think it was valuable and helped us all get through this year together. So thank you very much, Steve, for your outstanding leadership over the last year. I also look forward to being able to see you all again in person when it's safe to do so. And it goes without saying that this year has tested us all. Next year, as many have noted, will also likely be a difficult one. But just like this past year, we should expect the unexpected, and we will manage 21 as we did 20 together. I also want to commend Governor Northam and the jurisdictions across the Commonwealth for everyone's efforts in supporting our communities. I also want to recognize VACO for their efforts advocating with the administration, the legislature, our federal partners on behalf of county needs and helping counties work through the many challenges of responding to the pandemic. And I want to give a special note to Gage and in particular, and to Dean, who without their efforts, there is no way we could have put on this virtual conference. And it really went without a hitch. And I know Gage has been working around the clock as our communications expert, and Dean guiding our VACO staff to make sure this was a great success. And I want to give a shout out to all of you. You always do a great job, but you certainly have done a great job this year. This pandemic really illustrates that no matter where you live, where you come from, whether it's urban, suburban, or rural community, that we all go through difficult times. We all could be subjected to a health setback, and our neighbors can experience job, housing, and financial stress at any time, no matter where you are in Virginia. That said, there are populations who need more support than others. Our lower income communities, our communities of color, have been disproportionately affected by this pandemic. I find myself often thinking about the community I grew up in, which is still home to me today and has been home to my family since there were more cows than there were people in the county. And I grew up along the historic Route 1 corridor of Fairfax County. It's one of the most diverse parts of the county. And as a kid riding my bike with friends, I didn't realize what this meant, but I saw firsthand that where you come from was an important factor for your future success and livelihood. And when I got older, I understood why that was wrong, that there was a driving force behind my decision to begin a career in local government, to lift up all areas of our county and Fairfax, and certainly look forward to helping do that at a state level, and was the inspiration behind a resolution we passed locally called One Fairfax, which is an equity policy I introduced in 2017. And this policy has become central to all of our local decision-making in Fairfax County and requires us all to intentionally look at all of our policies through a lens of equity. I want to apply that same lens toward our statewide efforts so that all areas of the Commonwealth can grow and prosper together. We really all are in this together, and our state cannot advance unless all of our counties are advancing along with it. I've been a member of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for 12 years as the supervisor from the Lee District. And before that, I worked as chief of staff for the Lee District supervisor for 12 years as well. And for the last year, the most difficult year of my lifetime, I've had the privilege, or in some ways, maybe the misfortune, of serving as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County. And while we're the largest jurisdiction with 1.2 million people, unfortunately, I know that oftentimes people try to divide us between Northern and Southern Virginia, between rural and urban or suburban Virginia. And I want to emphasize that through our situations and our obstacles, while they may be different at times, our goals really are ultimately always the same. We want to help our residents have access to the resources they need, successful schools, reliable roads, transportation, a healthy environment, a strong economy, and a safe community. And we all need to stick together more now than ever. I've been proud to support VACO in pursuing these shared goals over the year, from advancing more resources for K through 12 education. And some of you may remember a few years ago, working with the McAuliffe administration, VACO was responsible in large part for the largest increase in education funding over a one-year period of time in the history of Virginia. And more recently, certainly successful in seeking more local authority and flexibility to respond to community needs and priorities. Together, as members of VACO, we'll continue to advocate and work on behalf of our local jurisdictions, and we'll remind our state partners that sometimes they don't quite understand how things work at a local level, and it's our obligation and responsibility to make that clear. Despite the partisanship grip taking place nationwide, certainly we heard that earlier this morning from Dr. Halsworth, we have more that brings us together than divides us, and we certainly know that at a local level, and we need to be thinking about that every minute of every day as we advance together. That being said, I'd like to announce that one of my first actions as president will begin the process of reapportioning the VACO districts that represent the results of the census and have been done every 10 years in the past. And I'm setting up a committee that will make sure we at VACO have appropriate and fair levels of representation in all we do to advance Virginia counties. I have tapped our good friend Steve Bowen. He's not getting away easy. Tapped him with the responsibility to oversee this task force as they work on reapportionment. And I know I have the support of everyone in VACO, making sure that Steve leads that group moving forward and brings us recommendations as we reapportion VACO and look at the results of the census. As all of you know, this is a real opportunity we have at a local level right now to rebuild our economy, rebuild our state, and improve people's lives better than where they were before the pandemic began. I look forward to representing all of you in the year to come. I don't have all the answers, but I look forward to hearing from all of you in ways that VACO can better serve our jurisdictions in Virginia and continue our leadership role throughout the state. And throughout this journey together, I'll be guided by a simple motto that was the motto of my high school and was stitched into our shirts, which is it reads very simple: to advance always. And I think we all need to advance always, especially now as we recover and hopefully get beyond this pandemic. It's again an honor to have this privilege this year. It's an honor to see all of you. I look forward to seeing you all in person. So many friends that I can see that are doing the hard work of fighting to get our counties through this tough time. In the meantime, I hope we all celebrate our veterans today. Most importantly, and I wish all of you a wonderful holiday season and wish all of you good health and safety as we move forward together, and know that I am a short phone call, email, text message, whatever you're comfortable away, and look forward to getting input from all of you as I visit throughout the state over the next year and have the distinct honor of serving as your next president. So with that, I thank you very much. And I think one of the last chores that we have today, and I'm going to turn this back over to Dean, because I know we have a presentation of a gift to show our great admiration and appreciation for Steve Bowen for what he's been through last year, and also as a bribe to keep him on serving as the reapportionment chair, and certainly on the board of directors. Look forward to serving with you for the next year, Steve. But really, we have a gift to present to show our appreciation for all that you've done for this organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations.
As a parting gift to our former president, Steve Bowen, we have a little gift of a weekend for you and your wife. Whenever you want to take it, we leave it up to you.
Okay.
So we've got that taken care of. And
Thank you.
also, we are presenting, if anybody can see this, the gavel to which Steve used virtually this year.
Yes. Oh,
And,
yeah. Yeah, my claim to fame is that I'm the first virtual president of ACO. Okay, that's my claim to fame. But anyway, thank you guys. Mr. President, thank you for your very kind words. And I think, did I make it on the plaque too?
You did. And
Okay.
we also have the plaque listing of all of ACO presidents, past presidents, and you are on here.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And what a great gift. And my wife is, in fact, she's probably wants to stay away from me a little bit because I've been at home too much. but we always need that time together. But anyway, Jeff, thank you for your kind words, and the executive committee and the board members. It's been a tough year, but man, I love you guys beyond measure, and I've enjoyed working with you guys. And what an honor and a privilege. I mean, this is one of the greatest honors I've ever experienced in my life. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And with that, Mr. President, I'll turn it back to you to adjourn us. Jeff, you're on mute.
The simplest task of the day, right? Which is to move to adjourn. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Meg Baumke, staff.
That's moved by Meg. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say, actually, if anyone's opposed to adjourning, why don't you put that in the chat box, or forever, or speak now or forever hold your peace, right? Any objection to adjourning? Seeing none?
See none.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Take care.
Thank you all.